Hi guys, this is Ed here once again for another edition of Review in Blue here on the Blood Type Online YouTube channel. And this time around we're going to be taking a look at somewhat of a well-known slasher film from the 80s. One of the films that for the longest time had no official DVD release or anything like that. So a lot of people have been, wanting to see this one for a long time on home video. And it was recently released by the folks at Synapse Films, and the movie that I'm going to be talking about is The Dorm That Dripped Blood. If by chance the title isn't familiar to you, it's because it's known under a handful of titles. Whenever you actually watch this Blu-ray, the movie itself is actually titled on screen as Death Dorm, which is probably the least popular title. I was familiar with the movie under the title Pranks, which a lot of people I'm sure probably are, especially if you remember the old VHS of Pranks, or if you're one of the folks that have picked up a bootleg of the movie over the last few years. I'm sure you probably picked it up under that title. That's the one that I had. And like many other movies that we all know and love, considering this one has only been available for the last few years, either on old VHS tapes or on bootlegs, chances are you've only seen this movie in pretty poor quality. I know that the copy that I had was actually a pretty decent copy of it, and itself it still was probably too dark in many places. So the first thing that I wanted to let everybody know about The Dorm That Dripped Blood, if you guys have seen the movie Pranks, which is the same movie by the way, and you weren't really big on it, definitely give it another chance. I will say this, that I liked Pranks. I wasn't completely overwhelmingly in love with it or anything like that, but I thought it was an okay slasher movie. But I have to say that it stood up a lot better watching it on the Blu-ray, completely cleaned up by the guys at Synapse. I mean, they do such a great job on all their releases anyway. But this one is one of the ones that I would say, shows you the purpose of actually seeing stuff like this on Blu-ray, because we haven't seen it look this good ever. The best that it's ever looked prior to this was probably during its original theatrical run, and if you were one of the few people that probably caught it during that time period, you don't really remember it all that well anyway. So I have to say that it's definitely the best that I've ever seen it look, and I was pretty impressed with the transfer. It looks great, and this is also something considered to be the director's cut. The director's cut for this movie was titled Death Dorm, and that was the 35mm print that they actually took to do the restoration for this one right here. So definitely worth it in that regard. They did a great job remastering it. It looks fantastic. Like I said, it's probably the best the movie's ever looked. So if you have seen the movie, you remember liking it or not being in love with it, it's definitely worth giving another shot to, especially, like I said, all cleaned up on here. So keep that in mind with this release too. Also, most of us anyways, tend to be overly obsessive with special features when it comes to our favorite cult movies. So understanding that, I know a lot of people out there are probably saying to themselves, like, well, what are the special features like on this? So it comes with an audio commentary featuring directors Jeffrey Obro and Stephen Carpenter. And just in case you guys didn't know about the background of this movie, this was actually a student film project at one point, apparently made on about a budget of about $90,000. And back in the days of the old slasher movie in the early 80s, a lot of the major studios and whatnot weren't really taking advantage of home video and what it could do. So a lot of the independents out there were basically supplying the video stores with all the stuff that they rented. So a lot of people that were making student films or just completely low-budget stuff in the early 80s not only were making the movies, but were actually getting them distributed on video. So this isn't that odd of an occurrence that a student film that a couple guys made that just happened to be a slasher movie ended up getting distributed on video, because, a lot of these movies were made from that same mold. So but that's why you also have two directors. It was both their project, Jeffrey Obro and Stephen Carpenter, like I said, who both are on the commentary track for this. It has an interview with composer Christopher Young and the makeup effects creator Matthew Mungle, which are both really cool. One of the things that I actually noticed on this disc, and obviously with Blu-ray, we have tremendous capacity as far as the sound quality of the discs go. And one of the things I had noticed with this movie that I never really noticed before was the music is actually really good. It's pretty average music for your typical slasher film. You know, it kind of fits the mold of that, but it's still pretty good, and it's used pretty good too in the movie. So that interview is really good, and obviously the makeup effects creator Matthew Mungle, that was really interesting too, because he talks a little bit about some of the hardest things to do in the movie, why he got involved in the movie, talks about, you know, kind of the frustration of the effects guys since. And this happened a lot in the industry back in the day, but a lot of times, a lot of the really cool special effects that these guys were doing would end up on the cutting room floor, just simply due to the MPAA. So you had that factor, and plus, you know, these guys really tried to go all out and do as much as they could, and it's kind of a shame whenever they take a long time to set up some kind of a gore effect only to get it on screen for, you know, a split second. But they talk about that on here, so that's really cool and in depth, and I thought that was really neat. Of course, there's the original theatrical trailers for the movie, and also something else I wanted to show you guys, and I love this with the people at Synapse. They get it as far as like the fans of stuff like this go. And I've seen there's a few other companies that do this. I know one of them is Shout Factory, does it with a lot of their Roger Corman titles. But this one is titled, obviously, The Dorm That Dripped Blood, okay? And it's known, like I said, under the title of Pranks, which a lot of other people might recognize. But this is the cover, okay? It's actually reversible. So there you go. Check that out. Pranks is on the cover as well. So you can kind of pick which one you like better. Personally, I go with this one anyways. The Pranks, you know what? I'm not one to really complain about movie titles a lot, but Pranks is a pretty stupid title for this movie. Mainly because I expected to go into it kind of with a mentality of maybe something like an April Fool's Day, like a lot of jokes and gags and stuff like that are going on. And there's really none of that in the movie. It was just like a really stupid title, and I'm kind of glad that it's, you know, been released under a better title anyway. And like I said, whenever you watch the movie, it doesn't have either title. It actually has Death Dorm. So just figured I'd show you guys that. The reversible cover, though, kind of cool. I love when companies do stuff like that, just because it's like a neat little thing. And you know, especially for me, you know, I don't really care one way or another. I just actually want the movie. I'm not really obsessive over the cover, but at the same time, it's kind of cool because I actually remember the movie as Pranks. So it's just kind of neat to have that on there additionally, and it's not like you get charged anything extra for it. So but definitely pick this one up, guys. I definitely recommend it. Like I said, it's never looked as good as it has right here. And I don't want to oversell this one to anybody. It's not like it's the greatest slasher movie ever made or anything like that. But this is one of the movies that came out during the heyday of the slasher film, like pre-1984 stuff. So I definitely recommend that you guys check this one out. It's from 1981. It's a lot of fun. It's nothing, you know, mind-boggling or just mind-blowing. And it's also, you know, for some trivia for the movie, so to speak. This movie has actually been talked about for years. It's kind of a cult film, obviously, like many of the stuff that I talk about on here. But the thing is, this movie probably is most well known for having actress Daphne Zuniga in it, who you guys might remember as the princess in Mel Brooks' Spaceballs. So it's her first acting role, so you have that. So that's kind of always kept the movie out there as a reason why a lot of people would remember it. And, you know, thankfully for stuff like that, because now we got a killer Blu-ray of it. So definitely recommend this one. Definitely should pick it up, especially if you're a fan of slasher films in general. And if you've never even seen this one, then it's definitely another one that I would recommend that you check out. I mean, you got to at least see it once. And obviously, if you're already a fan of this movie, this is a must-own. And you definitely got to upgrade, because this is the best way you've ever had the chance to see this movie. And just so you guys know, this is a DVD Blu-ray combo pack. just to show you guys right there, which Synapse has been doing frequently with a lot of their stuff. So if by chance you guys haven't upgraded to Blu-ray and you still, are interested in the movie, it gives you a reason to pick it up, put it in your collection, maybe stick it in there, to have the DVD to watch, and then you have your Blu-ray whenever you finally decide to come around and, take advantage of everything that there's out in the movie world in high definition. So that's a recommendation from me. This is Ed for another edition of Review in Blue, and we'll see you guys next time here on the Blood Type Online YouTube channel. Peace the fuck out.